Hi, I'm Matthew with Peoria, Adventist, and today we're going to talk about lying. Honestly. Now, the ninth commandment tells us not to give false testimony against your neighbor. Unlike the commands not to murder or commit adultery, this one is really specific. Does it mean that we're allowed to give false testimony against people who aren't our neighbor? Does it only apply in legal situations? Because it's only in legal situations that one gives testimony. Basically, what most people want to know from this commandment is, am I allowed to lie? Or is it okay to just sometimes lie? Like when the Nazis knock on your door looking for Jews, or your grandmother asks if you found a real job yet? We can think of a few times in the Bible where a lie played a key role in the story, lies which never get condemned in the text, like when Rahab hides the spies. It's a good question, so let's talk a little bit more about that. The commandment itself is definitely about legal situations, and this is important. Deuteronomy says, "A single witness may not testify against another person for any trespass or sin that he commits. A matter may be legally established only on the testimony of 2 or 3 witnesses." God gives this law because, surprise, surprise, people lie, but it's less likely that 2 or 3 people will tell the exact same lie. But the biblical idea of a legal situation is a little bit different than what you and I are used to. There's a story in the Bible where the evil king Ahab wants some land that is owned by a man named Naboth. Naboth won't sell Ahab the land, so Ahab schemes to steal it. Well, how do you steal somebody's land? Ahab invites Naboth over for dinner, and then Ahab pays 2 of his other guests to lie about Naboth, saying that Naboth had cursed God and the king, and they had heard it. So the people took Naboth out and killed him. And, by the way, that's how Jesus met his death too, right? People bearing false testimony. There are no lawyers in the situation, no judge, yet this was exactly the legal situation this commandment was about. So what we are being told here is this: you must relate to this legal society in good faith. The commandment itself isn't about lying per se. There are other laws that stretch this picture out for us. For instance, in Leviticus 19, it says that cheating in a business deal is a species of lie. It's wrong. Leviticus 5 tells us that if you witness something and fail to testify, you're also breaking the law. Of course, Jesus calls the devil the father of lies, which is about way more than just perjury. Perjury being the word we use to describe lying in the legal process. So while the commandment itself is specifically about perjury, there are other commands in the Bible that broaden this into a principle of honesty. You see, when we give false testimony, what we're really trying to do in that moment is to create our own reality. We're trying to create a reality where we didn't do what people said we did. We're trying to create our own reality where something true didn't really happen. We have to be careful about the stories we tell about the universe. Are we upholding the reality of God in the things that we say, or are we trying to create our own reality by lying? And this can be really dangerous. Not just personally, but as a society. In 1993, just 2 years after the first website was created, 2 defense analysts at the Rand Corporation warned us about something they called the net war. A net war means trying to disrupt, damage, or modify what a target population knows or thinks it knows. Defense One, a national security blog, calls this sort of thing a weaponized narrative and considers it a deep threat to national security. Now, a weaponized narrative is simply a story that an enemy tells us to undermine our sense of identity, our government, our institutions, or our social structures. In other words, they're giving false testimony as a weapon to undermine our reality. The stories we tell, you see, have a cosmic significance because they help shape the way we perceive reality. But there's another angle to this as well. In Matthew chapter 24, Jesus tells us that the gospel, that is the good news about Jesus, has to go to the entire world and then the end will come. In other words, we're called to testify about who Jesus is and what he's done, which means it's possible for Christians to bear false witness about who Jesus is. As Ed Stetzer says, we cannot let a passion for the truth make it okay to not speak truthfully. After all, when we become comfortable with lies, we often end up being the one lied to. You see, the leaders in Jesus' day first lied to themselves about who Jesus was, and that enabled them to bribe other people to give false testimony about who he was. But they first had to convince themselves that they were doing the right thing, and that's a dangerous way to live. We shouldn't want to live in our own world, in our own little bubble. We should want the truth, which is why the second angel of Revelation 14 calls us to proclaim that Babylon is fallen, that broken human experiment to live without God. Despite the fact that in Revelation 13 and in Revelation 17 shows Babylon as dominating the world, we're called to proclaim that Babylon's dominance is over. That is, we have a role to play in speaking the truth to a world that wants to believe a lie. In Revelation 12, in fact, we're told that the dragon, Satan, is overcome by the blood of the Lamb, yes, but also by the word of our testimony. This is a call to think about the story you tell, to tell the truth about your neighbor, to tell the truth about God, and to tell the truth about yourself. Man, sometimes we pride ourselves on being these truth tellers, telling it how it is and all that, but then we lie to ourselves. We say that we're not good enough, or maybe we say we're too good, or we say that we're not smart enough, we're not spiritual enough. I mean, just lies, 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 lies to create the reality we prefer. As Alexander Solzhenitsyn said, we lie to ourselves for assurance. And Christians have to be a people who can face reality as it is. We don't need conspiracies to help us feel important in the world. We don't need to lie about other Christians or other religions or people who don't have any religion in order to make ourselves feel special. This is the world that God has made, and the reality of God is enough for us, even as we remember that the best is yet to come. I got a new shirt, guys. Thank you so much for watching these videos, and for those of you who have subscribed, it is not too late to hit that subscribe button. If you're watching this video for the first time, just boink that button right up there, and you can watch some more videos right here. We've got some awesome things in store for you. Thank you once again for checking out our channel, and please go get yourself a puppy. It's on me.